Hey folks, how y'all doing? Trent Clark here with Mallett Buildings. Got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the Mallett Elite and what the standards are on the Elite. Remember, our Elite building is the best in the country. Nobody builds a building like that. I'm going to tell you a few things about it that's changing for the better. We got different wind loads now, okay? So where's Mallett right now? We got 80 jobs going on, give or take, we're plus a little bit more. This is a map. We really like it. We actually started using it in scheduling to help coordinate, drop-offs and stuff like that. I mean, when you got this many jobs going on, we, sometimes got to bring material to the job, pick up material, move bobcats here, bring it there. There's a lot of logistics going on, folks, and that's what I want people to understand is why I like this map so much. You can actually see what's going on. I mean, we might be erecting 10 to 15 buildings every week, okay? But that's just the erection phase of the building. After that, you go to the forming phase where we have a crew go out there with machines, and of course the customer gets their sand and all that. There's so many moving parts on the building, and look, I get it, right? Customers only, to them, they're only one customer, and we try to put this on there so they understand that we have several customers. In fact, we got 80 jobs going on every week. We are building 10 more buildings, erecting 10 more buildings. They go on to the next phase, to the next phase, to the next phase. So when we go through the scheduling process, understand that it might take a couple of days before you to get a schedule of the next phase of the project, right? So this helps you understand everything that we got going on in one place here. And so in Louisiana, we got about 57 jobs, and like I said, that's including the erection part of the building, which means that we're gonna walk through with the customer. We're gonna do a building placement. Very, very important. And look, we guide you through this, right? Even though you're pulling the permit, you're essentially the contractor on record. We're going to be walking you through this. We're going to send you some videos and documentation explaining your part of the process and what we're going to do. Yes, we're sending people out there to build the building, to form it up, to pour the concrete, but essentially you're there. You got to tell us where you want the building. First of all, you got to tell us the elevation you want the building. If you skip that process, you're going to get a building built and it's going to be facing the wrong way. So it's very important that you understand this as a customer when you're building a building, that there's certain parts of the building process that you are going to be accountable for some things, and one of them is the building placement and elevation. We're going to ask you to sign off on that. We're going to, at that point, we're going to start framing up your building. Once the building is framed up, we're going to ask you to sign off on the framing inspection. That means that you're going to walk around, you're going to show the doors where it needs to be, your walk-through doors where it needs to be, roll-up door, window. If you got several doors or several windows, you're going to make sure that it is where you want it to be. You have to sign off on that, okay? That's very, very important. We send documentation, we send videos once you get on the board of trying to get ahead of all this. We're trying to improve our process in that fact to try to let the customer know what's coming ahead, okay? There's a lot of moving parts in this. And as you can see, we delivering the building, we erecting the building, we're forming the building, we're pouring the concrete. If you have any minor red tags, we're going back and fixing those. What is a red tag? A red tag could be anything from a dented piece of trim or a problem with a window, which we get the manufacturer involved at that point. Sometimes, if the window is damaged, we can still put that window in, especially if it's the bottom sash. All we're going to do is the manufacturer's going to send us a new sash and we can change that out. It won't stop production, So keep all those in mind, and look, when you're building a building, it's important to understand that, it's a process and it's not going to be perfect, But if we prepare and we educate and we give you all the right tools for you to do your part and us to do our part, it will go smooth. So, you know, we build probably 50 buildings a month, and I would say 90% of those buildings really go smooth because the owner, you, the customer, the client, listens to what we say and reads what we put out and really has the process going. The ones that don't do that, sometimes we have a little difficulty. We end up getting through it, but it's not as smooth as others. Now, just realize we got a lot of jobs going on. In Louisiana, we got 57, and in Texas, we got 20. Excuse me. So why Mallett? Okay, we developed the Rival series because that's what our competitors sell, folks. We don't want to sell you the Rival series. We developed that because some people go off of price, okay? Now, if you want a cheap building, this is what you want to do. But if you want a Mallett strong, best building in the country, you're going to get one of our Mallett buildings, which is the Classic, the Signature, and the Elite, okay? What is a Rival? Rival's going to be 29 gauge metal, okay? It's going to have 4-on-12 roof pitch, 2x6 trusses, all right? Not third party inspected, okay? What does that mean? Well, nobody else in the business is building their own truss, okay? We have our own truss plant. I invite you here to see it. Come visit us. We'll give you the tour. So our competitors are buying truss from somebody else, okay? They're buying the truss and they're piecing together your building. Why is that important? That is important because that building is not engineered for the wind load, okay? Why? Well, because unless they have an engineer on staff that can say, okay, I'm buying this truss and I'm going to put it in this building and now I'm wind loading it, they can't do it, right? So they're going off of the wind load of the truss. So keep that in mind. Common flat truss. So they're going to buy a common truss mostly. Some of the time it's going to be whitewood in the truss. All right, it's going to be 130 mile an hour wind rated, no uplift control. What does that mean? We developed the Mallett cable lock system. Nobody else does that, folks. It is a system that has been proven over 16 hurricanes to help secure that building down. We haven't lost a building. I'm standing in one right now because of that Mallett cable lock system. I'll get into that a little bit later. All right, posts in the dirt. So a Rival building and all of our competitors are just going to put a hole in the ground and put your post in the earth, okay? Whereas on the Classic, you're going to get much more. You're going to get a pad. I'm just talking about the Rival building. 2x8 headers, 3,000 PSI concrete, no ground protection, limited warranty, and most of the time, you know, number 2 treated lumber. All right, if it's treated, or number 2 untreated lumber. That's the Rival series. That is what our competitors do. We built that series because we can build you that building if you're all about price, okay? And if you are all about price, we'll get you that, all right? But if you want to spend a couple of $1,000s more, okay, and get what we call the Classic building, you're going to get 26 gauge, not 29. You're going to get 5-on-12 roof pitch. Aesthetically looks a whole lot better, and it's going to help with the runoff of that building, okay? Third party inspected. What does that mean and why is that important? Because when we build a truss, folks, when we build a truss, we're not just saying what we build is it. We are actually hired a third party to come in and stamp our truss to say, to guarantee that we're building, what we're building is what we put on paper and say what we're doing, okay? That's what that means. And our roofing system, even on the Classic, is 170 mile an hour. Why? Because you got 2x8 truss. You got the Mallett cable lock system, okay? Which they don't have here. The Mallett cable lock system is a system of aircraft cable that we tie from post to post, horizontally and vertically and diagonal underneath that slab. The dead weight of that slab is going to hold that down. When that wind comes in and blows your roll-up door through, and it will, okay, it's going to act like a parachute. And without having this Mallett cable lock system in, it can actually pull your posts up out of the ground. We've seen it happen before, okay? Our competitors don't do the Mallett cable lock system. The Classic building comes with it. This is the Rival Series, this is the Classic, okay? That's why it's very important you understand this. 2x12 headers acts as the part of the roofing system. We have now found that we can go to 2x10 headers, and that's going to be a good thing. We haven't changed it yet, but it's coming on some of our buildings. Why is that important? It's going to change the headroom on your eave height of your building on the side, and we can still get that wind load. That's what's important. We're helping the customer out with a problem that we've seen. Not really a problem, but with the heel height part of it. And like I said, we're coming out with that. I'm going to talk about that probably more next week of some changes that we have come out with. Like I said before, and like I always say, we can stop doing what we're doing and we can stay stagnant, folks. But here at Mallett, we're always improving our processes to make the best building in the country, and we've done that, and we have done that. We push our engineers to the limit, and you'll see that our Classic building is now going to be 140 miles an hour. Well, I'm going to talk about that more. I'm going to have a whole presentation next week and talk about that more, okay? Up until this point, it's been 130 mile an hour wind load, what our competitors do. But we're changing that. 4-year workmanship warranty on that. Number 1, MCA ground treated lumber. Now, when we talk about number 1, MCA ground treated lumber, folks, you know, we push, when you hear me say that we push our engineers to calculate stuff to the fullest of ability, when you use number 1, when you use the best material, you get a better product. Number 1 grade lumber is far more stronger than number 2 grade. So if I use number 1 grade, I should be getting a better calculation, right? Makes sense to me. We push that. Okay, so if we're going to use that, we're going to use that to the best of our ability for you, the customer, and that's what we're doing here. You'll see some changes coming out. Also, that is kiln-dried lumber. Most everybody out there is not going to use that, okay? It's a special process that we actually treat that number 1 grade wood, we dry it out, we treat it again and dry it out. That's very, very important because that is going to help the screws not push out of that building. When most of our competitors are going to use wet treated lumber, that lumber's got to dry, okay? When it does dry, it actually untorques the screws, and it could cause a problem. Over time, the sun is drying that wood. We already do that process when you buy a Mallett building, okay? In-house engineering design. We have an in-house engineering firm. You meet Daryl. He comes up here every Monday and talks to you. And look, utilize Daryl. He's up here Monday. If you have questions for him, and it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, reply to one of these live feeds, and our marketing person will get that question to Daryl. So on Mondays, he can help answer those questions and be more clear about the stuff that you want to know. Okay, so that's the Classic building. You can see right off the bat, I failed to mention the 4,000 PSI concrete, you know, which is 33% stronger than 3,000. That's very, very important. We're going to get into concrete a little bit more. I want to talk to you about concrete because I saw a post. I saw a post talking about rebar and you know, talking about, you know, our buildings may crack because we don't use rebar, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, now let's get started. $500 discount, just like every day we like to offer this. $500 discount for your healthcare worker, first responder, military personnel, and teachers and educators, okay? If you're one of those people looking for a building, make sure you grab your extra $500 discount. Also, Tiger Cash for the Elite Series or the Signature Series. Type in cash to a live feed like this one, and you're going to get an extra $1,000 off, okay? January specials, we've been doing very well with this special, okay? You got a 30 by 50 by 12 for $43,998, a 40 by 50 by 14 for $53,958, a 40 by 60 by 16 for $62,598. Now you may notice, all right, over here it says limited time offer. I mean, we've been running it for 2 weeks, so this could end at any time. What do you get? You also get a 10-foot gable, okay? Just like this building, you're going to get a 10-foot gable extension, and you get to pick your height. All right, so that's why we got 3 different heights. If you want a 30 by 50 by 16, you can do that. So basically, these 3 buildings, you can pick your height, and you're going to get a 10-foot gable extension. Features include, this is the Elite Building. This is the best of the best, okay? You're going to get #1 grade lumber, which I just talked about, 6-inch, not 4-inch, 1.5 times stronger than 4-inch, 4,000 PSI concrete, okay? Mallett cable lock system, we just talked about that. Why is that so important? Nobody else does it. It's Mallett cable lock system. This building, it used to be 150 mile an hour rated. We're changing this building, our Elite Building, to 160 mile an hour, okay? This is brand new stuff on this show today. This building is going to 160. We're going to come out with a whole new deal like I spoke about it. I'll have a whole show on it next week. We're going to change all of our specs. These buildings are now going to 160, folks, all right? Remember, your roof system is 170 mile an hour rated. That's why we can do this, folks. We got 2x8 truss. Your roofing system is 170 mile an hour wind load. When you calculate all the #1 grade lumber we got, when you calculate the best screws that we got, the Zach screw, and let me sum this up. A Zach screw is because of the way the screw is coated. I don't have the information up here. Zinc, illuminate, blah, blah, blah. I'll get that information for you, but don't misunderstand the Zach screw versus a name brand screw, okay? Because you got Hillman's is what we typically buy, and the Zach screw is stand for something. Tyler, help me remember. We'll get that information next time for the viewers. I just want to go over that because we got, they have some screws out there. We just went through this with our customer. We showed him the specs. He agreed with us, but the Zach screw is because what's in it?
Zinc aluminum alloy cap.
Zinc aluminum alloy cap, and it's got a cap on it. But that's the type of screw, not the name brand screw, okay? Very, very important. But when you calculate all this together and our 2x8 truss, this is why we can do this on the wind load, folks, all right? So that's going to go to 160. The roof system's still going to stay at 170. The concrete pad on every post. What does that mean? We take an 80-pound bag of concrete, of dry mix. We put it at the bottom. Within a short period of time, and really that's for the aggregate. So the bag has aggregate in there. That's basically rocks, right? And it's got concrete base in there, so it's going to harden up. By the time you wake up in the morning, that base is hard, okay? But it's really the aggregate that we're after for the footing at the bottom of that post. That's important. Our competitors don't do that, okay? Post protectors come on Elite 5-on-12 scissor truss, our cathedral truss, engineered building, windows, you get 2 3x5s, you get gutters included, 10-year workmanship warranty, folks, all right? Remember, we're throwing in the height, which is usually a charge, okay? And we're throwing in a 10-foot gable extension on these buildings. Great special. Get it while it lasts because it's limited time. Also, we still got the Cajun Oasis. This is the classic building, 30 by 50 by 12 for $49,999. That is going to come climate control, which means that we're going to have you a 5-ton AC and heat unit in that building, and you're going to have the basic electrical package. That's a $10,000 value that we're throwing in this building. We have that same building in the Elite for $59,999. That's a 30 by 50 by 12 turnkey. Pretty much when we get finished with that, you're going to have electric. You're going to have to get your electrical hooked up. We're going to do all the electrical inside the building, and we're going to hook up a 5-ton AC. And then you build that building out on the inside how you want it. If you want it to be just a heated and cooled shop, that's got electrical and lights, fine, keep it at that. But if you want to go further and make that thing a weight room, a workout shop, a little efficiency getaway, a man cave, she shed, whatever, you can do that. And this is the best building in the country for $59,999. Remember, that's got your electrical and a 5-ton unit. It's going to freeze that 30 by 50 out. Excuse me. 5 red flags. Folks, we like to go over the 5 red flags. I think it's important that, years in business, if you're out there shopping, don't you think it's a red flag if the person that you're going to do business with is not licensed to do business in the state of Louisiana? That's the first thing you need to do. Find that out, and you can find that out on the Secretary of State website. While you're there, you can find out, in fact, if they are licensed to do business and how long they've been in business, okay? Most of our competitors hadn't even been in business for, 2+ years. So, that's the first red flag. Second is licensure, proper licensure. You can find that out on the LSLBC website, okay? They have to be, even though you're pulling the permit and you're going to be the contractor on record, they still have to have a contractor's license to do certain jobs in Louisiana, and building a building in your backyard is one of them, okay? So find out if they got the proper licensure. You can find that out on the LSLBC website, and while you're there, find out if they have any contractor violations. Most of our competitors do. Okay, I'm proud to say that we've been a contractor for 27 years. We have no violations, and I'm proud of that, okay? Reviews on the BBB and Google. We have over 650 plus reviews between the Google, BBB, and the other ones out there. Probably more now. I'm stuck on this 650 stuff. Very, very few negative reviews that we have out of 650, and those negative reviews that we have, you can read through that and you can see where we have made those good, or we've had justification for those reviews. So I challenge you to read that if you want to, okay? Visit the contractor's website, facility. We want you to come here. We want to show you our truss plant. We want to show you what we're doing with our roll form plant. We're waiting on electrical to be hooked up right now. I'm hoping to be, rolling our own metal in a couple of months. But that's what's exciting we got here. We want you to see that. It might be a red flag if the person you're doing business with is sitting in the front seat of their car and that's their office. I'm just saying, those people are not vested in their business, and they might go away. I know some competitors recently that they're going away. Okay, so just be aware. All right, the Mallett Elite Building Standards. Okay, Elite Building Design, 10-year workmanship warranty, engineer oversight. Like I told you, our engineers, we push Daryl to come up with the best design for our customers, and win ratings and all that. And every building is getting stamped and looked at by him. Our competitors don't have that, folks. Elite tier includes the highest structural and performance spec we offer, or anybody offers, okay? Roofing system is 5-on-12 roof pitch, 2x8 scissor truss or cathedral truss, 5-foot truss spacing, 170-mile-an-hour wind load on roofing system. And we include ridge vents on that. Okay? Structural framing, you got 6x6 posts, 10-foot post spacing, 2x12 header boards, Mallett cable lock system. Those things are very important. We talked about that already. I'm not going to elaborate, okay? But we have now designed the wind load at a 10-foot post spacing with 5-foot truss spacing. And our wind load is better than once before. Why? Because of the premium products that we use, the screws we use, everything that we put in that building, we get a better wind load, okay? So this is the best building in the country, folks. And we have the specs to prove it. Wind and engineering standards, 160-mile-an-hour wind load rating on the building. I told you that changed. Yesterday it was 150, okay? Today it's 160, and like I said, all of our buildings are changing, and we're going to come out with that, and we're going to address that next week. I'm waiting for Daryl to put me together a package, and we're going to come out here and explain all this to you. Fully engineered structural design, engineered oversight throughout the construction. Okay, exterior materials and protection, 26 gauge metal panels, post protectors, skirt board guards, optional wainscoting. Okay, that means that you get it if you want it. It costs more money. You can have it. Some people don't like it. It doesn't. It's up to you. Okay, concrete and foundation, 6-inch, 4,000 psi concrete. 6 inch is 1.5 times stronger than 4-inch, folks. Only on the Elite Building you can get to 6-inch. Okay, unless you pay on the other buildings to upgrade. Control joints included right now. Concrete pad on every post. We talked about that. Okay, let me take this moment and talk a little bit to you about concrete. They had a post up, and they're talking about, somebody commented that, you know, because they don't put rebar in their concrete, wait till it cracks. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, that rebar in concrete will not stop a crack. Okay, the best way for me to describe this to you is this. Rebar is in concrete for when it does crack, it holds the concrete together, okay? Now, most of the time, because you're dealing with structural that's weighted on the concrete, in post-frame construction, there's no weight on the ground. All your weight is on the post. So your concrete actually has zero weight on it, okay? Microfiber is a better crack. How can I say this? You get fewer cracks with microfiber than you will just putting rebar in there. We take the guesswork out because we are putting microfiber in the whole volume of the concrete. You know, some people, I've seen people just drop rebar in concrete. It's going to go to the ground, okay? Or your wire mat, they call it. That's going to go to the ground. Remember, concrete's going to crack. Microfiber is going to stop a lot of those cracks. You do the research. Go do the research on it, okay? It's proven. We take the guesswork out. It's like this. Microfiber, if you're talking about skin, rebar is, like if you get a cut on your skin, rebar is the stitches that holds the cut together. Microfiber is going to harden the skin where it don't crack, okay? Or if it does have a little surface crack, it's not going to go where. Then when you buy the Elite Building, you can get control joints because all concrete is going to crack. We're trying to tell it where to crack. Not all the time you're going to tell it where it's going to crack, but we're trying to do our best, and you can go out there in the whole concrete world and look at that. So when I see posts like that, where because they don't put rebar in their concrete, it's going to crack. Folks, that's people that they don't understand construction, and they speak out without fully having an education on what's going on. And what do I mean by that? I will repeat it again. Rebar is only going to help once you have a bad crack. It's going to hold the concrete together, okay? Microfiber is put in to help not crack, prevent cracking, okay? I hate saying that word because you will have some shrinkage crack. All concrete will have shrinkage cracks, okay? It might happen right away. It might happen 2 years down the road, but it's going to happen, okay? But microfiber is a far superior product than just rebar alone. Now, am I saying that rebar, it doesn't have its use? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, if you have a lot of weight on your concrete, you might want to put some rebar in there, but when you're talking about post frame, there's no weight on the concrete. It's not necessary. We spend more money on microfiber than we do on rebar because microfiber is taking the guesswork out of what's going in your concrete. So that's my little spill on concrete. On the Elite, you get 2 3x5 windows and you get gutters. The Mallett Elite difference, premium specs already included, designed for performance, longevity, and peace of mind, built the Mallett way, okay? The Mallett Elite Building standards. Now look, a Mallett Ambassador Club. if you like what you heard today and you're in the market to buy a building, once you buy our building, you can become an ambassador and you can actually make money with us showing your building to other people. If you're interested in that, give us a call. I think we're going to have a video to end this show today, folks. But that's it for today from me. We appreciate your business. Tyler's going to show you a show. Thank you very much.
If you've ever wondered what actually happens during a concrete pour, this is it from start to finish. And we did this pour in Lockport, Louisiana, which is about 3 hours from our location here in Iowa. To move the concrete to the back of the slab, the finishers create a temporary trough. We get questions all the time, why do we need a trough? You'll see here there's no way for the concrete to reach the back unless there is a trough. So it allows the concrete to flow where it needs to go without driving equipment across the forms or the prepared base. It's a common and effective method that protects the site while keeping the pour consistent from front to back. A lot of people are familiar with rebar, so that's usually what they expect to see. But for our slabs, we have a little different system that we use. Instead of traditional rebar, Mallett Buildings uses reinforced microfiber mixed directly into the concrete. Those fibers are distributed throughout the entire slab, so reinforcement is present everywhere and not just in one layer. As the concrete cures and naturally shrinks, the microfiber helps control movement and reduce cracking. Unlike steel, it doesn't rust or corrode, and it can't shift during the pour. It works together with proper prep and finishing to create a slab that performs consistently over time. That's why this is the system we use at Mallett Buildings.
So what the Mallett cable lock system does, it connects post to post around the entire building using 1/8 inch aircraft cable that's fastened to eye bolts at the base of each post. This, coupled with the concrete poured on top and the moisture barrier underneath, creates a perfect system called the Mallett cable lock system.
I'm here to inspect the concrete pour, and so I'm here to make sure that the concrete is done completely according to specs, that the owner is happy with not only the concrete, but the finish on the concrete, so that he can be happy with his concrete slab.
So you'll notice that there's an inspector on site during the pour. This one happens to be Mr. Glenn Duhan, and his role is to verify that the slab design, reinforcement system, and installation all match the approved plans, meet code, and make sure that the customer is happy. Inspections like this are not optional if you're going to be held to the same standard as Mallett Buildings, and they're something that we fully support. Once the concrete arrives, the pour starts in a controlled sequence. The concrete is placed in stages rather than all at once, which you will see there are a ton of concrete trucks that come through here. This helps maintain consistent thickness and prevents shifting or uneven areas. What you're watching here is how we pour slabs at Mallett Buildings with the owner on site and an inspector present to verify everything is done correctly. If you ever wondered what actually happens during a concrete pour, this is it. This slab is designed specifically for a post-frame building in Louisiana. So before the pour ever starts, the building footprint, door locations, and final elevations are all laid out and checked. Those measurements determine how the building will sit, how the doors will function, and how water sheds away from the structure. The forms you see here control the final shape and height of the slab. Everything is set to a specific elevation, and those elevations are checked before the concrete arrives. Once the pour starts, there's no adjusting this, which is why this step is so important. So concrete has a working window. It needs to be placed, leveled, and finished at the right time, not too early and not too late. The finishers are constantly adjusting based on temperature, moisture, and how the concrete is reacting, especially down here in the south. Grading is what levels the slab and sets the final surface elevation. This step ensures that the slab is flat, uniform, and properly sloped where needed. Door areas receive extra attention because even small elevation issues can cause problems later. Finishing is really where the experience shows, so the surface is worked carefully to create a durable finish that will cure properly. Rushing this stage can weaken the surface, which is why it's done very methodically. Having the owner on site allows them to see exactly how the slab is poured and finished. Questions can be addressed in real time and expectations stay aligned throughout the process. That transparency is very intentional because we want our customers 100% satisfied. As the pour wraps up, final checks are made to confirm elevations, finish quality, and overall layout. At this point, the slab is left to cure properly, which is just as important as the pour itself. When most people start looking at a post frame or metal building, the first things they notice are the size, the price, and how it looks from the outside. What usually doesn't get talked about right away is how the building is actually put together, and that's really what determines how it performs long term. And if you're from the South, you know how important it is to be able to withstand a hurricane. And that's the part that we focus on in Mallett Buildings. We've been building post frame structures for over 26 years, and over that time we've seen what works, what doesn't, and where the problems usually start. Most issues don't come from one big mistake, they come from a lot of shortcuts. We offer 3 building levels, which are the Classic, Signature, and Elite, so customers can choose the level of features and warranty coverage that makes sense for how they'll use the building. But regardless of the tier, the core structure is built the same way. The framing is one of the biggest differences. We use tighter spacing on girts and purlins, deeper post embedment, and engineered truss systems designed for real loads, not just minimum requirements, and we actually manufacture those trusses here in-house in our site in Louisiana. Materials play a big role too. We use painted steel panels backed by manufacturer warranties, and we protect the areas of the buildings that are most exposed to moisture and ground contact. Those aren't things you always notice on day one, but they matter years down the road. We're also very open about our process. Owners are welcome on site, inspections are encouraged, and questions are handled as the work is happening. The transparency helps everyone stay on the same page. From permitting and design approval to material delivery, framing, and concrete, we follow a clear step-by-step process, and our customers always know what stage their project is in and what comes next. We also stand behind our work. Our workmanship warranties are tied to the level of building you choose. A lot of customers come to us after talking to other builders. because once they understand the differences in construction details, materials, and overall process, they can see where the real value is. If you're considering a post frame building and want to understand what you're really getting, not just square footage or floor plan, we are always happy to explain it, and that's how we do things at Mallett Buildings.